But she would rather spend her time chasing Sly and swimming in cold water than to look into the possible threat that is the Panda King. So, Mama needs a reset. So, I decided to play Sly Cooper to try and, uplift my mood. And as I played Sly Cooper, at least the first 3 games, we're not talking about number 4, I noticed something particularly unique about Sly and Carmelita's relationship now that I'm going back into the game series. And oh boy, it is dark. See, Sly Cooper isn't just a game series about a legacy of thieves. No. There is a story between the walls of all 3 games, a tale of cat and mouse, or rather, the story of obsession and control. In my opinion, Carmelita and Sly Cooper have a deep, dark obsession with one another, one that clouds both their minds from the reality of their own existence. See, they both create a world where one cannot exist without the other, a chase where if one stops, the game is over, and that game is the chase. But the chase is a one-sided race to the finish line. See, Carmelita is chasing Sly to the end of that finish line, but Sly is racing Carmelita to the end of that finish line. What do I mean by that? Sly and Carmelita are both obsessed with one another, be it with their well-being or their own existence. See, these two are somewhat trapped within a paradox where one cannot exist without the other. Carmelita's main job is to stop global threats as an Interpol agent. However, we see that she is obsessed with mostly Sly throughout the entire game series. Let's take the first game for example. She would pop up in random areas and different levels and give Sly a chase, rather than investigating the main boss of that level. Even Sly kinda has to tell her this. And this is where the obsession kind of kicks in. She should be investigating someone like the Panda King's level, for example, but instead she's currently hunting down Sly, who in retrospect is a lesser threat than the Panda King at this very moment.
Freeze, raccoon!
How can I freeze when my heart warms at the very sight of you?
Shut up, Ringtail. I don't know what you're doing here in China, but I'm sure it can't be good for whoever owns this place.
You must only have eyes for me if you're too blind to see what's going on around here.
All I see is a pathetic thief who's escaped justice for far too long.
I'm proud to be a thief, especially when I'm stealing from a vicious extortionist like the Panda King. Open your eyes, detective. These quaint temples are a front for an illegal explosives factory.
Don't try to confuse the issue. You criminals are all the same, and none of you can escape justice.
But she would rather spend her time chasing Sly and swimming in cold water than to look into the possible threat that is the Panda King. As for Sly, it is an enjoyment of having Carmelita constantly running after him. He thrives off her reaction, even telling Bentley that,
"Hold on, that's Carmelita. She looks trapped."
Serves that cop right. She's been dogging us from the start.
It's just a misunderstanding. We've got to free her.
Are you crazy, Sly? Clockwork probably stuck her there to trap you.
But if I don't do anything, Carmelita's doomed. Besides, stealing just won't be any fun without her.
Stealing would be no fun without her, sending her pictures of his journey when she was missing out on the pirate level in the 3rd game. Let it be known, Sly literally sends a picture of everybody in the Cooper gang, people that she didn't even know, over to her office just to get a reaction. In a way, he demands her undivided attention for everything he does because he wants to be the center of her world, which ironically he is. And this is why I think these two have a mutual obsession with one another. Carmelita knows that Sly is taking over her world and her job. But because of this obsession, she does become the best of the best in her line of work, taking most of the Fiendish Five to jail, taking most of the Claw Gang to jail, taking most of the villains in Sly Cooper 3 to jail. She is one of the top agents because of Sly. And for Sly, this means that his mess is cleaned up. So the game doesn't really punish them for their obsession with one another. It rewards them with peace and promotion. This allows the cycle to continue, and this cycle started with them chasing one another. So the climax is the beginning of it all. It starts with the chase and ends at the finish line. See, Sly may be the one running away from Carmelita as she shoots her electricity bolts at him, but he's still the one with the power. He controls the narrative as where he's gonna strike. When he basically summons Carmelita to come in and chase him, he leads her in each game to follow him. See, it was the chase for Carmelita, but for Sly, it was kind of a race to the finish line. And what was this finish line, you may ask? Total domestication, confinement, and possession. Let me explain. I get the feeling that Carmelita developed Stockholm Syndrome over the years of stalking Sly, and this would play greatly into his favor in the end. In Sly 3, the game kind of warps this, allowing the stalker, aka the inspector that constantly is trying to capture Sly for the law. The game kind of plays into her favor by creating a reality where she is allowed to capture her favorite prey. Because how did you convince your entire police squad that Sly is no longer a world thief? Even with amnesia, Sly has a record. Just pointing out, and this is why Carmelita to me has reached a weird mental state, because Sly has a line record, possibly 82 terabytes of criminal charges under his belt. How exactly did you convince the police chief to give this man a chance? Oh, he had amnesia. What, girl? Come on. Like, I'm pretty sure this is Stockholm Syndrome. But even when Carmelita got Sly, she technically still lost. And here's why. Like, you're telling me Carmelita did so much work to basically erase Sly Cooper's identity and just make him Constable Cooper? Like, you see, I feel like that's a weird mental state to be in. Like, Carmelita had to be messed up mentally to do this. But even when Carmelita got Sly, she technically still lost. Here's why. Sly does give up his freedom with a lie of no memory.
What happened?
Sly?
Where are we? What is this place?
Sly, can you remember anything?
No. Who are you? You look familiar.
He lies about his amnesia, and by doing this, he's basically giving up his freedom to Carmelita. And honestly, she could have just shot him and take him in, or just left him to die, be it as you will. But instead, she decided to take him in and make him into a detective. Somehow. And to me, this is dark because this is basically saying that Carmelita did not only win her prize, so did Sly. She gets to erase the thief we all knew and loved to mold him into whatever she wants now. Basically placing her into the role she always wanted to be with Sly, the dominant role, the one with the power. For Carmelita, this is the ultimate manifestation of her goal within the entire series.
Sly, can you remember anything?
No. Who are you? You look familiar.
I'm Inspector Carmelita Montoya Fox.
And who am I?
You're my partner, Constable Cooper.
She has consumed his identity so entirely that he now exists solely to serve her world. And as disturbing as that sounds, Sly is technically still in control in a way. See, he's lying about his amnesia, but because of this lie, he's willing to cage himself to Carmelita. By becoming Constable Cooper, he gets exactly what he wants. By faking amnesia, Sly's pulling off the ultimate heist. He stole a peaceful life with a woman that he loved without paying the price for being a criminal. Sly and Carmelita's story is basically an erotic tale about control. It is this desire to not only one-up one another, but to have ownership of each other's existence. Remember when I said earlier how Carmelita is chasing after Sly, but Sly in a way is in a race? They're part of the same thing, but not doing the same thing. When he reached the finish line, the end, he got what he wanted. He got freedom, he got a clean slate, and he got the woman of his dreams. And Carmelita got Sly and was able to mold him into whatever she wanted. The problem is, whatever she molds him into isn't gonna stay because Sly hasn't lost his memories. And that's why Sly will always have the power. And as we see in Sly Cooper 4, he does exactly what she was terrified of. He returns back to his old state. He steals and he goes back in time. And then the storyline of the romantic relationship goes out the door. I'm not even gonna talk about that. I gotta say, this whole romantic relationship is well written within the game. It doesn't have to be dirty or out there. All you need is a simple conversation and actions. as well as well-rounded written characters. And I need more video games to create romantic storylines within the games. Not optional love interests or one-sided character development, like a character actually written within the story. But as for Sly and Carmelita, I love it. I love whatever dark, messy story they got going on in these last 3 games. Yep, the last 3 games.